My wife thought she was clever. She'd lie about where she was, use the kids as cover, and sneak away to hook up with her high school ex. But one sticky note, one simple mistake, was all I needed to unravel her entire world and take her lover's life apart piece by piece. If you've ever been betrayed and dreamed of serving up justice with a cold, calculated hand, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Because today, we're diving into a revenge so complete, it's ruined 2 lives with one clean move. It started in the early 2000s, back when dial-up internet still ruled and AOL was king. My wife and I had 2 young kids. They were about 4 and 6 at the time, still innocent enough to believe in fairy tales, but old enough to talk. And it was their chatter that gave me my first clue. They started mentioning visits to their grandparents, my wife's parents, which wasn't totally strange. They loved seeing them. But the problem was, her parents lived nearly 90 minutes away. And suddenly, my kids were talking about going there 2 to 3 times a week, on the exact days my wife wasn't working her part-time job. That math didn't add up. I brought it up casually one night, asked her if she'd been taking the kids to see her parents more than usual. Her reaction was off. She shrugged it off, gave a vague answer about getting help with the kids, and quickly changed the subject. No eye contact. Nervous smile. I knew that look. She was lying, and badly. So I did what any rational man pushed too far might do. I started keeping tabs, quietly. No accusations. No fights. I started tracking the mileage on her car. Nothing dramatic, just noted the odometer each night and compared it the next day. It didn't take long. She was putting on an extra 400 miles a week. That's nearly 6 hours of unexplained driving time every single week. Now I was done guessing. One day, I sat down at the computer and saw a yellow sticky note next to the keyboard. Her AOL password, just sitting there like an invitation. I stared at it. I knew this was crossing a line, but that line had already been blurred by her secrets. I logged in, and what I found, it confirmed everything. There were emails between her and her college best friend. In them, she gleefully described how she was regularly hooking up with one of her high school exes. They joked about how his wife had let herself go after having kids. My wife described how they'd sneak off to cheap motels after dropping off our children with her parents. I sat there for a long time. The words blurred. My hands trembled. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the way she spoke about it. Casual, smug, cruel. I printed the emails and stored them somewhere safe. But I still needed more. I wanted the whole truth. I reached out to a cop friend of mine, someone I trusted. I told him I needed answers, not confrontation. He recommended a private investigator, a guy named Ron who used to be on the force. Ron didn't waste time. I gave him everything I had, the emails, my wife's schedule, and the mileage reports. Within a few days, Ron had a full report. Photos, timestamps, motel names, locations. It was all there. My wife had a routine. She'd drop off the kids with her parents, meet this guy for lunch, and then they'd sneak off to some rundown motel for a few hours, before picking the kids back up and driving home like nothing happened. When I saw the pictures of them together, smiling, arms linked, standing outside a dingy motel, like they were in some kind of rom-com, something in me snapped. I remembered my childhood. My parents cheated on each other. A toxic, screaming mess of lies, broken trust, and confusion. It wrecked me, wrecked my siblings. I had promised myself I would never put my own kids through that kind of chaos. So I hired a divorce lawyer. But I wasn't done. Ron came through again. I asked him to find out everything he could about this guy. Her high school ex. Let's call him Bob. Bob was married, 3 kids. He worked as a VP of sales for his father-in-law's company. Apparently, the guy had it all. A beautiful family, a cushy job, and a wife who loved him. And yet, he risked all of it to cheat with mine. So I had my lawyer draw up the divorce papers. Quietly, carefully, no drama. Yet. I asked Ron for a couple more copies of his report. Then I gave him one final job. The day everything went down, it was surgical. I had my wife served with divorce papers at her job, in front of her coworkers. Meanwhile, Ron met with Bob's wife, in person, and handed her the full report. The photos, the emails, the motel timestamps. She had no idea. She was devastated. But she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply acted. According to public court documents and everything I pieced together later, she didn't just file for divorce. She emptied their joint bank account, took the kids, moved out, told her father everything, and her father fired Bob on the spot. Turns out, Bob had only gotten that VP job because of family connections. And when Daddy found out his golden boy son-in-law was sneaking off to sleazy motels while his daughter raised their kids at home, Bob was gone. No severance, no favors. But it got worse. The house they lived in, owned by her parents. She had him evicted. Bob tried to fight back, but his life was crumbling by the hour. One day, he showed up at the house and started screaming at his ex-wife. That's when her brother stepped in and broke Bob's nose. Police were called, restraining orders filed. There were court battles, assault charges, and even some jail time. From what I can tell, Bob eventually left the state entirely. You can't find him online anymore. It's like he disappeared. His ex-wife. She took a job at her dad's company and eventually took over when he retired. Total boss move. As for me, I played it cool with my now ex-wife. We kept it civil for the sake of the kids. I never yelled, never raged, never rubbed it in. I had already won. Once the kids were grown, I cut all contact. I don't hate her. I just don't care anymore. She's my kid's mother, and that's the only reason she exists in my world. But sometimes, late at night, I remember that yellow sticky note, that one small slip that unraveled to lives. It wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was calculated, precise, final. Bob lost his job, his family, his home, and his future. All because he underestimated two things: how far a betrayed husband would go, and how strong his own wife truly was once she learned the truth. And my ex, she lost a husband who would have gone to the ends of the earth for her, and traded it all for a man who didn't even have the guts to stay when the walls closed in. There's something beautifully poetic about watching people destroy themselves with their own choices. I didn't raise a hand. I just set the truth free and let gravity do the rest. Revenge doesn't always have to be loud or violent. Sometimes, the most satisfying justice is simply watching someone choke on the secrets they thought they buried. If that story made you feel even a little bit vindicated, hit that like button and subscribe. There are plenty more where this came from. Drop a comment below. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Until next time, stay sharp. And remember, karma has perfect aim.